What's poppin', ladies and gentlemen? How's everyone doing this afternoon or wherever you are in the world? Hopefully it's still good. This is your boy, the Animal. With me is my partner, Space Eye Roshi, and welcome to part two of our Power Rangers tribute review. Now, just before we begin the episode, I just want to reiterate what we said before why we're doing this. We're doing this to honor Jason David Frank. He recently passed away due to suicide, and we're just doing this to really spread awareness of suicide prevention and as well as just to honor his memory and just to honor Power Rangers in general because he touched a lot of people's lives. Even someone who's not a big Power Ranger fan like myself is still very affected. I know what suicide can do to people, so that's part of the reason why me and my friend are doing this. And so we're gonna do something a little bit differently from our past episode. We're not just gonna ramble on certain episodes. It's gonna be a little more structured this time. So for today's segment, we're gonna be looking at three talking points, and we're gonna be looking at episodes called "No Clowning Around," "Foul Play in the Sky," as well as "Dark Warrior." So, bro, if you want to take it away?
Sure, actually. Let's talk about the fact that we are diving into the guttural part of the first season. And honestly, man, we're getting so close to agreeing with evil, I can taste it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's definitely talk about some things really quick. I do like how these episodes were really focused on bringing the Power Rangers' strengths, like their individual strengths, were being explored.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we didn't really get a whole lot of focus on Trini's necessarily strengths, but we did get to see Jason kind of fill into that leadership role a little bit more.
Yeah.
He started getting in depth. We saw that Zach was kind of the hype man of the entire team. And honestly, man, there were just some really solid familial moments between the rest of the Rangers. I love that they started to introduce the Rangers families. I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool.
Absolutely.
We get to see Kimberly's uncle. We get to see Trini's uncle.
And
We get
Trini's
to see
cousin.
Trini's cousin.
Yeah.
Like, we get to see all these amazing cast members start actually gaining some chemistry on screen. And I think the biggest thing, so like, I like the fair. I thought the fair and Rita being in charge of it and all of that, I thought that was a really interesting plot point I'd honestly forgotten about. Um, and even with all of that being said, there was still just a lot of really good action scenes. But I would also like to focus that these villains are getting smarter. So in the clowning around episode, like, that's the first time we really see a villain use a disguise of any sort.
Yeah.
But then, like, as that kept going, we were noticing, oh man, the Megazords take so long to set up. Why hasn't a monster just like interrupted? Well, in these episodes, we finally got to see it. We got to see a monster that actually interrupted, and also it took a little bit of strategy to deal with those monsters.
It did.
It wasn't just, hey, let's beat them up. It was, hey, we really need to attack this correctly. I thought the clowning around really did a good job of opening up like Billy's intelligence.
Yeah.
I thought that was really amazing how he's just they are really focusing on the fact that he's intelligent. But at the same time, they're also attempting to like try to add a dimension to him. And I can really appreciate that. It's not perfect, but for a kids' TV show, they do a very good job of fleshing these characters out, in my opinion.
They do.
You know, we can also talk about the fact that, like, all these episodes have these great moral lessons that are being taught.
Yeah.
Clowning around was kind of like, okay, so don't trust strangers. Don't run off from people that are in charge of you. Like,
Yeah.
it was handling things that are real life issues and probably happen more than they should.
Of course. How often do we have our kids just run around in an amusement park or that want to go explore by themselves? You know what I mean? So,
Right.
yeah,
And like the other crazy thing for me, at least in that particular in that episode, is just kind of how Zordon like really takes this back seat and he lets these kids figure things out on his own.
that's
It
true.
you know, yes, he mentions some things. Yeah, he says a lot, but at the end of the day, he's trying to let them work things out. So then we can kind of move on from clowning around and start talking about foul play in the air.
Yeah,
I
that's
will say, so far, this is one of my favorite episodes.
yeah,
Um, it kind of gives us this look into Bulk and Skull's minds. They're not necessarily just bullies. They really do actually have dreams. They're kids.
yeah,
Now, yes, they are bullies, and yes, they're comic relief, but they have these dreams. And what I really liked is how Kimberly literally just shows, hey, I'm not this one-dimensional like ballerina valley girl.
yeah.
No, like she was resistant to them coming, but when she was faced with the decision to leave them, she didn't.
She didn't. She
And
stuck
she
right by
very
them.
well could have. Like she very well could have been like, "Hey, I'm morphing and I'm just gonna dip off out of this plane," but she really didn't. She was like, "Okay, I feel bad. These people are here because of me," and she did the responsible thing.
Yeah,
And then we got to my favorite monster, the Snizzard.
the snizzard. Yes.
But yeah, man, what did you think about no foul play in the air?
Found Play in the Air, you just hit the nail on the head. I totally agree with you. Like, this is where we really get to see Kimberly's independence, and not just as a, like you mentioned, a Valley Girl and stuff like that. Like, when she's competent, she's competent. And when she's faced with a life and death situation where she's trying to pilot the plane by herself, with the help of, what's the little robot's name? Alpha. And
Yeah,
it just shows that like she's quick to like not freak out, just like try to stay calm. Okay, this is what I have to do. Click the switch here, maneuver the plane here, get it to a right level. It really just shows how like just how like she was a real hero like by herself. Like she didn't need to morph for anything. She did that all as a human, and I just thought that was like. You know what? Now that I'm really thinking about it, this is really great character development here. Like she's really, like this is kind of like her spotlight moment faced in a very dangerous situation where she had no idea what she's doing. She, instead of freaking out like the bullet like Buck and Skull did, she's like, you know what, no, like I got them here, I'm gonna get them out of it and we're gonna land the plane. And then once they land the plane, they just go on to morph mode and just take care of business. And I just thought they did a really good job at that, especially after they drugged her uncle, essentially put him to sleep during the flight. And
right.
so, and I definitely like the fact that Bulk and Skull do have some development going on. Like, yeah, they're bullies, they're comic relief, but like you said, they have dreams and there's things that they do want to do. So they're not just bullies for the sake of being bullies. Like, and we're starting to see that more and more as we go through these episodes. Yeah, their attempts at bullying always fall flat on their face, and it's just like, okay, are you guys gonna stop now? You just make yourselves look even stupider than you are. But and I think over time, I think they're kind of we're starting to kind of see that bit by bit. They're still doing their silly bully thing, but I think they really are breaking the mold a little bit.
Right. And I think the other thing too that really impressed me about their characters is typically when we have like bully characters, quote unquote, most of them are just kind of one dimensional. And even in these early episodes, it's easy to see that they are not one dimensional. Maybe they just had a rough life. Maybe whatever's going on makes them see the world like that. But like when it came down to it, like they were supportive of Kimberly, even though they were terrified out of their mind. Like I would have
Yeah,
been too, you know.
yeah,
But can we just like absolutely admire the fact that freaking Kimberly literally flew a plane, never having that experience in her life,
yeah,
never like she didn't have a co-pilot. Yeah, Alpha was walking her through it, but like literally whenever it came to the flying, she was doing the flying.
She did.
Like Alpha's the one that kind of guided her for the landing and whatnot. But it's just as hard to fly a plane as it is to land a plane.
Oh,
And she did that on
absolutely.
her own.
She did do that on her own. Like
Um,
she's extremely quick wit. Like when the pressure's on, keep a cool head, and she pays attention well. Like she knew exactly what she was doing. So it was almost like
right,
it was almost like she did it before without actually doing it before. It's kind of weird.
right. No, I totally agree. And maybe that was kind of muscle memory from flying the pterodactyls or whatever.
Probably.
But either way, I think it's really amazing that they kind of touch on it. Um, Another thing that I really appreciated this episode, and it'll kind of get lost if we don't mention it, but like it's only what 15, 16 episodes in, and
Yeah.
here we are. We're getting our first flashbacks of the crew. You know, they're starting to develop this huge relationship within the show. And you got to remember, these guys grew up with this show. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't, hey, these are 34-year-olds playing high schoolers. No, most of them were teenagers,
Yeah.
or at least close to it. And like they're growing up with the show. So whenever they did these flashbacks and stuff, you could kind of see like this look on Amy Jo Johnson's face. And the thing that I really appreciated about it is it was authentic. It was
Yeah.
something she felt like she was missing. And I'm glad to kind of see that. It kind of makes her video about JDF this past month like makes it really hard to watch because you
Yeah.
kind of just know that these guys were really close with the exception of maybe two people. And like with as close as they were, it's just really amazing to see this team form before JDF gets there. So I'm really curious kind of how we notice the chemistry change once he's introduced, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does.
Um, but then I also have to really mention when we went into the Dark Warrior, like again, this is a show I grew up with. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of these episodes are more of my favorites than others. But like Dark Warrior was one of those that I kind of had forgotten about. And I will say the one thing that really stood out to me is they, again, here's Billy being developed. And he's being developed as not just a nerd. You know, he's having a hard time. He's getting picked on.
Yeah.
And Trini's uncle comes. And all of a sudden, you know, here they are. They're spending time with her uncle. And like Billy literally he had a lot of issues and he was really down on himself because he was getting bullied
I can relate to
almost
that.
to the
Yeah.
point, you know, almost to the point where he quit Jason's martial arts class, which that kind of sucked because I thought that was a really interesting. Like I really like them working together. I like the fact that you know Jason is helping Billy not be bullied.
Yeah.
But like when we watched the end of that episode, Bogue and Skull both run up on him, and like Jason tells Zach, he's like, "No, we're not gonna help him. He's gonna be okay."
Yeah.
And I think part of that I really liked is they were preparing him to stand on his own,
Yeah.
and I think that's an amazing thing to do for somebody that's been bullied.
Absolutely. They
I know
gotta
it's
fight their own battles, you know what I mean? Because they're not going to be there forever. It makes sense for you to like make them stand up on your own 2 feet, and I think Billy kind of did that.
right. And I think he did an excellent job too. Like it wasn't just, hey, you know, I'm getting picked on, I'm powerless. all of this. No, he did a fine job.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he still got bullied, and he didn't solve it in the end. It was Trini's uncle, but I still thought they did a very good job letting him kind of play his own protector.
Yeah.
Um, Also in Dark Warrior, I like the aspect of, yet again, here we are. Villains are getting smarter.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
so are the Power Rangers. Because this was the first chance that we really got to see the Zords themselves be used individually. Like,
That's
yes, they
true.
still, of course, they of course still use the Megazord, but before they used the Megazord, the uh, you had the Triceratops and the Sabretooth
Yeah.
like use their own little unique tools and their little unique all their
Abilities.
unique abilities.
As
And
well
I thought that
as
was really cool.
as well as Smilodon too. We see him use more crowd kinetic attacks from the trunk of it or whatever. So yeah,
Oh, you mean the Mastodon?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Mastodon.
I love that. That was great. Oh, no, like I just thought they did a fantastic job of setting everything up, and they really are working very hard on it.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, they're building this chemistry with this, like introducing the families, introducing all these outside elements
Mm-hmm.
that they're struggling with. And like the one thing that I have to admit is Zach wasn't always my favorite character, but in this rewatch, I'm starting to really remember how fun loving and actually how good of a character he is.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's definitely one of my favorites.
And I have to honestly say, like, Walter Emmanuel Jones does a very good job in that role.
Yeah.
So, like, anything that we can do to continue watching that, I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Like,
The one thing
you know, go ahead, go ahead.
I do want to mention one thing. The one thing I do like the fact that we're seeing more of their home environment, Angel Grove, like what we talked about in Foul Play in the Sky. We actually see a lot more of the city and where they used to live, and including when you talk about the flashback area, we see the rock that they were teleported to get to the command center or somewhere like that. So that's part of
Right.
that's a good part of the world building process, and I thought that was a
Oh, I thought they
it's
did an
just
amazing job there.
yeah,
Also, it just kind of showed like the sheer volume of Angel Grove.
yeah,
Like, as a fictional city, it's probably one of the very few where we can honestly say, like, it's a fully fleshed out place, but it's also very, very, very large.
yeah,
Um, they were in the plane for supposedly a few minutes and whatnot, but like anybody that's ever flown in a plane knows that like 5 minutes in a plane is 20 minutes in a car. So, like, what I found interesting is not only is it this huge place, but again, this is before we see the Green Ranger. So we still haven't seen like the business district. We still haven't seen anything like that. We're
yeah.
still on like, just basic. Here's the high school they all go to. Here's the community center they all hang out at.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is very small, but they have made the sheer size of the town. They have really tried to flesh it out,
They
and
did,
I
yeah.
really, really like that. Um, yeah, I mean, like it's just crazy to me how certain aspects of the show they still hold so well. Like, I mean, the anti-bullying stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
They're the way that they believe in talking. about real problems. And they don't really address it in the same way that like Static Shock or something like that did.
Yeah.
No, it like literally brought it to the forefront. And when it does so organically in a way that the story actually still makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, I really also appreciated, again, Zordon really does such a good job of being that mentor.
Yeah.
And it is impressive how little screen time he has. He has built a very, very solid foundation of uh he's built such a good foundation with these characters that when this does go further, it'll probably mean a lot when we get to something like, Power Rangers in Space,
Yeah.
where, we're no longer seeing Zordon. We're no longer seeing the original team. And I'm sure it'll hit. It's just not going to be quite the same, if that makes sense.
It does.
Zordon was that first kind of real mentor. He was there for, I believe, 4 full seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a long time.
It is.
Especially when they have already built all this chemistry and they have focused on this chemistry for this entire series. Honestly, like, as I said, we're 15, 16 episodes in, and still they are working on world building.
Yeah.
We get a lot more lore than I remember ever being in the show. When they named up the Morphin Masters, I think it was in the 2nd episode, I lost my mind, and you were like, what's that about? And I was like, I don't think y'all understand. Like, the comics and later seasons, like Ninja Steel and a few others, have made mention of these things.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't remember them in the show. And then in, like, the Dark Warrior episode, we start to kind of see the lore behind Rita and all of them kind of going through everything.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really impressive how they really did world build, but they did so in such a way like I didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like they didn't touch on Morphin Masters enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Whenever I read the comic, I was like, oh, that's an interesting new thing that I didn't know existed. Turns out it did exist this whole time.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. Another thing that I really thought they did well in these episodes was, let's go back and look at like in clowning around, and again, I know we're getting back to kind of jumping around, but we're still in kind of the same topic.
Yeah, we are.
So in clowning around, or no clowning around, I can't remember what it is right now.
No
but
around.
But the one thing I will say about like how they have progressed, the Rangers in their human forms in No Clowning Around, they were using their environment as a weapon. And I really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But then they continued that through the next couple of episodes, too. Like when Billy saved his girlfriend and that stuff, like he had to know, he had to actually know what he was doing to save her. And I thought that was really freaking amazing. I thought it was handled really well. I thought that, clowning around, No Clowning Around was hilarious with how putties and everything were seen as kind of more confident than they had ever been.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, like, we didn't know they were putties, and except for when the show demonstrated we did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it was really interesting to see. I think another thing that really worked out super well was how they addressed like Trini's cousin. Whenever she ran off, she dropped everything.
Yeah.
She could have easily been very neglectful. She could have very easily been like, okay, well, I hate this and I'll just let it run off.
No,
And honestly,
she went
no,
immediately. Yeah.
she was like, no, I'm staying on this whole time. I don't care.
Exactly.
And I did like that Billy left the group to try to save her. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was kind of sad because like
How so?
Billy, well, like okay, so they did the really good job of kind of like letting this be Trini's moment of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
But then like when we finally see the monster, we know it's an actual monster. It's not, an actual clown.
Yeah.
Uh, like the thing that bothers me about that is that there were so many things where like they gave it to Billy instead of giving it to Trini, like him curing her cousin. Without him, her cousin doesn't get saved.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of. I wish they would have focused more on Trini because Trini's really the only one that we haven't gotten any kind of development with.
Yeah.
Zach had the episode about his birthday. Jason has kind of had a couple of episodes where they focus on his relationships.
Yeah.
Billy has had probably the most development out of anybody.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say his development is probably the best because he's proving that he's like he may be the geeky nerd, by himself when he transforms, but like he's trying to kind of grow out of that and take his role as more seriously. Like he's more braver. He's like, I'm gonna go after this one, and his brain power is amazing. Just what he's able to do with this technology is really sick. So yeah, I totally agree. He has the most growth of anybody, at least yet.
Right. So the other part that I have to admit is like, I think Billy's intelligence is very severely underrated
Yeah.
in terms of like fiction because a lot of people are like, oh no, he's like not smarter than Tony Stark or somebody like that. So I don't think he's smarter than Tony, but I don't think he's all that far off. I mean, dude, he literally repaired alien technology out of high school with no training.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like training in the sense of, Alpha is helping him. No, I'm talking about like training as in he's not an engineer.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an electrical engineer working on something. No, this is a high school kid still learning about life, essentially. And he literally, like, he fixed that bug where they could get into the command center and stuff.
Yeah.
He also
invented the
created
watches.
the communicators.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't think people realize just how impressive he actually is. And again, this isn't some kid that's an engineer. No, this is a legit high school kid.
Yeah.
Just like Peter Parker. I think that's a very good comparison for him, is a Peter Parker-esque role.
I can see that actually, yeah.
And like, I actually like how they're addressing him. Honestly, it's really refreshing to see. The other thing that I really like is if you've like watched any kind of the Marvel movies, and I know you haven't because like you're not that much of a fan.
Yeah.
But like, if you've watched Marvel movies, if you go back and watch Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, like you could almost put David Yost in Peter Parker in those movies, and he almost, I would say, adds a depth that Tobey Maguire could.
Yeah.
Like he would have done that role some serious justice. I just gotta hate that he was overlooked because of situations on set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, man, like I'm just excited to get into these next couple of episodes. These next couple of episodes really have me excited.
I am too,
Like I can't
actually.
wait to. I can't wait to really break down Green with the.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see your. I kind of want to see your reaction to like the update. But dude, like it's gonna be so much fun.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to get through to that. I
Yeah.
also can't wait to see I can't wait to see Gung Ho. Gung Ho is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And so it's a team building exercise between Jason and Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all based off of like a Trini moment.
Okay.
And like I was saying, I don't feel like Trini has had enough development right now.
Yeah.
And like I really want to see that one because they go after this new Megazord.
Yeah.
And like the only way they can get it is if they work together. And like the results of that are some of my favorites, dude.
Yeah.
Like cannot cannot express enough. That is where like all of the cool developments happen.
Yeah.
So from there, we see a lot of attention kind of go towards the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, Tommy and Jason are going to be a big part of it, but it's kind of that, you know, unfortunately, Matt and Ty syndrome from Digimon.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to always have two characters that are more important, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I am definitely excited to get through I'd say the next probably 15 episodes are going to be some of my favorite to watch with you.
That's gonna be I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely looking forward to this because I definitely missed out on so much growing up. And it's not that I hated Power Rangers growing up. I got into other stuff and Power Rangers. I feel like I should have watched more, but I now respect. I now understand why this is such a well beloved show. Like I'm totally enjoying it even after 20 years and all the campiness and the cheesiness about it. Like it's still enjoyable to watch as an adult. Like it's still very much enjoyable. At least I think so. So yeah,
Oh man,
I'm definitely
that's
looking for,
100%.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see the next few episodes.
That's awesome, man.
It is.
All right, I do think that this is kind of the wrap up of this episode, but I will say that if anybody in the audience ever is dealing with suicidal thoughts or any kind of ideations of suicide, please feel free to reach out in the Discord to either me or Ivan. I'm in there as a Johnny King 111, and Ivan is of course the admin on the Discord. But if you can't get into either one of us, please contact 988. It's the suicide loss and prevention hotline. So
Yes.
what they are is they will talk to you about anything. If you call them and you say, "Hey, I just need to talk about the weather instead of talk about my life," they will listen.
Mm-hmm.
I have used them once or twice, and I can honestly say they do value their job. They care about the person on the other end. It's a little tough because
Yeah.
I'm sure they deal with hundreds of calls a day.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you guys ever feel the need, you can always reach out to one of us or reach out to the hotline. They do
Absolutely.
care, and so do we. Uh,
Absolutely.
I would rather you talk to me and be angry than read about a friend of mine being lost due to nobody willing to talk to them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'm signing off.
All right, guys. So, like we said, this is gonna be the end of the episode, and let me just reiterate what he says. Please reach out to me, reach out to my boy here, or please call 988 if you have anything you want to talk about suicide wise. So, please do that for all of us, because, like I said, this is all in the memory of Jason, David, Frank, and so God bless his soul, and because no one else should go like that. Anyway, guys, this is gonna be the it for this episode. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy more episodes coming on later on. Later on, if you guys have anything you'd like us to review, please leave it in the comment section down below. Put on post notifications so you don't miss what we do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Follow me on all my social medias. Okay, follow my boy Johnny King on his Discord, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Much love, you guys. Y'all stay awesome.